Well, I think, we've all been watching those really just appalling scenes. This is terrible, absolutely terrible in terms of the violence, the activities that we've seen. We've just seen, confidence in democracy being shattered, quite frankly, and there's no justification for the level of violence, full stop, that was on show and has been on display. And people have been assaulted, people have died. We've also seen, law enforcement officers being assaulted too. And it's really sad. It's tragic to see, actually, on the basis that, America has always been a fantastic beacon of democracy, liberty, freedom, just great values of tolerance, decency and democracy. So no question, absolutely no question at all, just really terrible scenes.
I will note, however, Home Secretary, as indeed others will, that two words that didn't pass your lips there were Donald and Trump. What will it take for a senior politician in the British government like yourself to condemn the actions of this man?
Well, I think absolutely the violence, should stop, and he should absolutely condemn everything that has taken place. There's no question about that at all. Someone was shot, people have died. This is terrible, terrible beyond words, quite frankly, and there is no justification for it.
The reason I'm pushing on this is because it has been conceded by people on both sides of the political divide in the United States, incredibly senior figures on the Republican side as well, that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is complicit in what we saw on Capitol Hill yesterday. On that basis, I think what people may want to hear from a very senior politician like yourself is a statement, a bold statement, condemning the involvement of Donald Trump in what happened yesterday.
Well, I think, first of all, he made a statement yesterday and it did very little to de-escalate the situation. So there is no question, first of all, there's no justification. Words of provocation are completely wrong. And quite frankly, every aspect of the violence and the activities that took place should be condemned. That is absolutely right. And, quite frankly, we've seen, we've heard from the president-elect, we've seen just absolutely shattering pictures coming out from Washington. And as I've said, America is a beacon of democracy and freedom. And quite frankly, it's right now that they move on, they get on with an orderly transition. And that violence, there's no justification for it whatsoever. It has to stop.
The Democratic Minority Leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, described the 45th President of the United States as its worst. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into, comments of that nature. The fact of the matter is there's been no justification for what has happened at all. And that violence is completely unacceptable. And on that basis alone, people have died. And, there is transition in America at the end of elections have always been smooth. The world looks to America for peaceful transitions, and it's important now that they absolutely get on with that process of transition and moving their country forward.
I'm going to give the opportunity just one last time, because obviously we do need to talk about COVID-19 and indeed enforcement of the new regulations. But I want to give you the opportunity one more time to condemn the involvement of Donald Trump in what happened yesterday. Condemn the man himself, his lack of an order of a timely order for people to acting in his name to leave the Capitol building, for him sitting on the sidelines once again in a situation which, did pretty predictably turn violent very quickly.
Well, I have said he should absolutely condemn the situation, condemn the violence. But his words also did very little to de-escalate the situation yesterday. So quite frankly, what we have seen is absolutely appalling. There's no justification for it whatsoever. You've seen, all your viewers have absolutely seen the most appalling and shocking scenes at the heart of democracy in the United States of America. And that violence should be condemned. It should be condemned by Donald Trump as well, absolutely. But at the same time, right now, America has to move on. They've had their election and they've had their process. And quite frankly, they do now need to move on. But what we have seen is absolutely appalling and terrible. There is no justification for it whatsoever.